Hi everybody. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Trujillo Velchev, but I'm more known as the electronic music artist KiNK. I I come from Bulgaria, but what I do is pretty international, and I'm so blessed to be able to share what I do with you. I'm here to talk about making music. Um, I'm here to talk about playing electronic music live and to share with you all the different experience I have. The good news is we're gonna have some music. The bad news is I'm just gonna use my drum machine because for some reason the sound from my computer and my machines cannot go through. That brings the question, how can I play tonight? But I'm gonna improvise like always. Um, we're gonna talk a bit more, and I'm gonna play a bit less because the only thing I have here is the drums. But once again, I'm kind of happy this happens right here, right now, because this is the reality. I had so many shows where people are dropping liquid in my gear, and it happens in the first 5 minutes in my 2 hours performance, and I have to go on somehow. And now you're all here. I really appreciate that you spend you give your time for this workshop. And I would like to give you something, and I don't have that many options, so I just have to go with what I have. Absolutely, absolutely. So I like many of us probably. I'm a very big fan of the artist FX Twin, and some years ago I was reading an interview with him, and he was saying that. I mean, many people try to understand how he's making his music because his music is pretty crazy and complicated. And what he says is he doesn't want to explain literally what kind of plugins and what kind of machines he's using. He would rather share his philosophy behind the music. That's so much more important than particularly explaining I'm using this keyboard, I'm using this drum machine with this preset. So I guess I would rather talk about that, like what is my approach to producing in the studio, what's my approach to making music live instead of here I have this machine and you press this button and then you get a result. Also, I'm a painting artist by education, and my teacher was always saying the artist is the idea. We as a students, we develop with different speed. I was not one of the talented ones. I was quite slow, and he was saying, "Don't worry, the technique you're gonna get it at some point. That's not the important part. The important part is when you have the vision." So here, my job is to inspire you to have a vision, and then once you have an idea, what do you want to do? There is plenty of information on the web. You can easily check a lot of tutorials. You can understand how this works, how this and this works. So I guess I assume my job here is more to give you a desire to go online and look up all this information. As I said before, I'm born and raised in Bulgaria. I live in Sofia, that's the capital. And Sofia is definitely not London or Berlin or New York. It's not a techno capital. And I discovered the electronic music in the year 1991, when I haven't got obviously access to the internet, there was not so much information about this movement.
How did you hear about it?
I heard about it on the radio. There was this a dance music radio show every Sunday, and it was pretty much top 40 kind of music, very accessible kind of music. But one day the radio DJ played a track, and it was still pretty commercial track, but it was the craziest thing I heard at that point. And the guy said, "That's techno." So for me, from that point, there was no turning back. I wanted to know more about this music.
What was it?
It's something very commercial. It was the EDM version of techno at that time. The project is called U96 and the track is called Das Boot. It's really commercial German. It's not that great, but still it was better than a lot of the top 40 hits you can hear on the radio.
How old would you say you were at that time when you fell in love with the music that you play now?
I'm not that great at maths. I'm gonna be 40 this year, so now I was probably 13. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And when I got into this music, I was trying to collect as much as I can that kind of music. And at that time, for me, the only source was the radio, and also on the streets there were these shops. They would sell pirate tapes. That was another source for me. So I was listening to this music, and at some point, after 1 or 2 years, I thought, wow, those are amazing tracks, but there are some parts of those tracks which are too short, and there are some particular sounds which I don't like. Those are amazing tracks, but there are some parts I don't like so much. And if I had the ability, I would change those parts. And towards the mid-90s, I met these guys. They knew I'm into music, they knew I wanted to do music somehow, but I haven't got any gear. And these people, they had gear, which means they had a dual cassette recorder. They wanted to make hip-hop music, still rhythm-based. I actually found a very big similarity between, hip-hop, breakbeats, disco, funk, house, and so on, and techno. So I told the guys, okay, give me your dual cassette recorder. What I can do with that is I can find clean beats in hip-hop recordings, and I can extend these beats. I can make instrumentals for you by playing those short beat drum parts, recording them on the second cassette, then stopping the record, rewinding back the first cassette, finding the clean beat again, and recording, extending the beat that way. That was the way I was doing the instrumentals for these guys. And then I was also trying to scratch, but I didn't know anything about the DJ culture. I didn't know how a DJ setup looks like.
May I ask you there, was that where production was born? Because in that instance, we have the luxury of the greatest technology perhaps in mankind that's ever been. Whereas
Correct.
when you have limited technology but still the ideas, you're still fathoming out how to actually put together your ideas. So do you feel that was the birth, that was the cement of you actually overcoming your obstacles?
Absolutely, I totally agree. I didn't thought of like making music at that time. I just wanted to manipulate sound. But nowadays people ask me, when was the point when you started to produce music? And my first recordings, like my first record was released in 2005, but actually in the mid-90s, that was the time when I was trying to produce music, because there is no rules like how you should produce music. So basically manipulating tape was already a step ahead. And in that meaning, being very limited. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's the truth. Limitations can make you very creative. So yeah.
They do say that in limitations, that is where you actually invent. In limitations, that is where inventing comes from, because you feel like you're restricted, so you want to express, and that's how growth comes. So what I'm interested in knowing is that you're making hip hop, but you still know that you've discovered this love for techno. But the older, when you're like young teenager, you're impressionable, like the older lads are like, oh, make that, it's like, yeah, but secretly you must have still been like making this music, which probably wasn't as popular in your area where you came up. So how did you not only start developing your skill set, but get yourself out of your country and to a more of a, well, look at this, a room full in Leeds, you know what I mean?
That's a very good question. I always thought that becoming a very good producer, musician, stage performer is enough. Unfortunately, it's not. My uncle, he's a bass guitar player, and what he told me when I when I told him I wanted to make music full time, he said you need 3 type of skills to be a very successful musician. You need to have a driver license. You need to be able to carry heavy stuff, and you need to be very good at marketing. And then, if you play an instrument, if you can sing, that's a good thing on top of that. But it's not really necessary. So I couldn't really understand what he meant back then. And later on, when I tried to make this as a full-time job, I realized that yes, you need your skills. You need to. First of all, I do this because I love it. It's my passion. So I want to have this as my main job because I don't want to waste time doing something else. But what makes a big difference, to answer your question, in my case, it was the social media. So for me, what made a big difference was something additional you have to your, let's say, to your profile. Some people are very good DJs, very good producers, but they also look very good. Some people are able to talk very well. Not me, some others. I find that I'm very good at finding a good spot in every instrument I use. I can play with anything. I'm going to try to demonstrate that. My kit is not working, but later on I'm just going to try to make music only with the mixing desk. So I realized, right, my profile is I'm a person who can play with any instrument. I'm going to stress on that, and I'm going to build up a profile on that.
Did you at that point know that was an asset in a sense of when you starting at a stage where you were starting? Did you feel that you still had skills that would smash it? Were your aspirations at that point, I'm sick as fuck, I'm gonna tear everything up? Or was it a bit, it's true though, isn't it? Or was it a bit, I wonder what people think what I can do? And then actually, it's like, whoa, this kid's actually doing stuff that no one can do. And then it surpasses everything, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm actually a bit of a don.
I don't want to put it exactly that way. I don't want to say I thought I'm sick as fuck, but I knew I have a potential. Making arts is not a competition. So I never thought I'm better than the others, but I knew I have a very strong potential, and I knew I want to show it.
Does that add with your philosophy?
Yes, and I've always been very shy in public. Like now I'm getting over it. That's why I take these opportunities to talk to you guys, because I need to become better with meeting people.
Doing well.
But thank you. But I used to be very shy. However, when I was with my instruments, I've always felt very comfortable on stage. And I think everybody should be like that, because when you play in a venue, people coming to see you, even if people don't know who are you, people coming to have a good time. People come with a positive mindset. So there is no reason to look at the crowd as your enemy, it's your friend. And what happens is you go to this place and you're just jamming with your friends, your future friends. And that's all about it. So
is everyone else feeling that KiNK has a good soul right now? Is a fucking G. Make some noise for KiNK right now, man. Honestly, brother, real talk, man, real talk. Now, as you progress, one thing that we spoke is important to you is about the philosophy. Now, a lot of people may be familiar with KiNK, a few of you may not be familiar with KiNK. However, what may be posed to you out there is that he's just a demon on every bit of kit. However,
if it works.
Exactly. However, as you've shown, when bits don't work, if you rely on a certain piece of kit, you're almost lost in that, so you can't express yourself. So where does the technology end and the philosophy start? Where, because I find that you have a certain groove to you. I feel that these are working for you, you're not working for them. So how do you still not get lost in the technology and still somehow put across a soul and a groove in your creations?
I haven't got lost in the technology for the simple reason that I just couldn't afford any technology. So in the very beginning, when I was trying to somehow make sound, I had nothing, or I had a very, very little amount of bits of gear. And fast forward to now, I used to play as a DJ, but you know, nowadays in the western part of the world, every second person is a DJ, and I needed more gigs. My choice was either I get a day job that I don't like, or sorry, I'm gonna start again. About 10 years ago, there was a very good niche in the market for performing your music live. And it's something I didn't want to do. I was so much into DJing, I wanted to play other people's records. But I had an easy choice to do. Either I get a job I don't like, or I perform my music live. That was around the world, that was easy. But still, when I accepted to play my music live, I still haven't got any gear. So my plan was I start to do some gigs, I get some money, and I buy equipment. But in the very beginning, I have to imagine. I just had one laptop, and I had to imagine how I want to progress. I was not able to buy a lot of machines and then try and decide, yeah, I'm going to do this, and that. I had to imagine. I had to invent my philosophy first, and then I had to somehow develop it. So, as being a DJ first, what I had in my mind was I don't want to be a band. I'm not a musician. I'm a sound engineer. I'm a DJ. I'm not a classically trained musician. So I wanted to build my live set in a way that DJs use 2 decks and a mixer. And after you use this simple system for a while, you develop some sort of muscle memory. You don't think about the performance anymore. You know that you have deck A, deck B, and your mixer. And after a while, you just play without thinking of the technical aspect. And
may I ask there then, how do you then acquire the kits that you acquire specifically?
Yes, so first of all, obviously, I had my computer. And the brain of the operation is Ableton Live, because that's the most suitable, easy to use, intuitive platform. That's what I think for playing electronic music live, and maybe producing too. At that time, when I started touring as a live act, there was this product on the market. It's called Launchpad by Innovation. So I thought, right, and it was also pretty affordable. So I thought, I'm gonna use Ableton in a way that it's just a library of sounds, and I'm gonna use this piece of gear just to launch pre-recorded sounds, but also to record some stuff I'm gonna do on the fly. So I had 2 inspirations: DJing and the beatboxers, people who make sounds, they record their voice or whatever, and they play the sound back. So I thought, right, I want to be a DJ and I want to be some sort of a beatboxer, but I don't have a great voice. I wanted to use something else to generate sounds. So this piece of gear, the Innovation Launchpad, I was using for the DJ part to launch pre-recorded elements I had in my computer. And then I had this Akai LPD8. It's also pretty affordable little piece of gear. I was using it to trigger drums. And also with the Launchpad, I was recording what I was doing on the fly. So that was something I started to do from the very beginning, and it's still the core of my system. I have some sort of pre-recorded material. I guess when people come to see my show, they want to listen to my records, so I make sure that I play some of my records. But then on top of that, I have these other machines. I have a keyboard. I'm using those devices to play stuff in the moment, and then I record and layer those sounds, and that's how then I have this option to actually create music on the fly.
When you are playing your records live, because one thing that I feel that when you are entertaining and making music in a live realm as you are, is it the people are taking away a unique moment, because even though you're playing the songs, you're recreating rather than replicating that song.
Yeah, it's always different. I limit myself. When I say I play my record, I don't mean I play a full arrangement. When I take an element from my track, I don't play the separate stems. I just chop one loop from the master, but normally that loop is 1 bar long, like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's all I play from my track. And then in order to have some sort of arrangement, I have to use filters, I have to layer more drums, I have to play the keyboard. So when I say I play a record, it's actually just one bar. So I can never do it in the same way, and it's unique every time, that's for sure.
Do you feel that adds to the allure of yourself, the philosophies you say, but also for people that are coming to see you, that every time they see you, no matter how many times, they're getting a fresh, just impulsive moment that you're feeling with your creations?
I try to do that. I don't know if I achieve it, but I'm very happy to see that a lot of people are coming back again and again to see me. For me, I guess people ask me how much of your show is the same, and I like to say probably 50% is the same, 50% is completely new and original. But then people, I have situations where I play in the same country the same day a couple of times, and I've had friends traveling with me, and they say, "Wow, that was completely different than the last time." That's not the way I feel. Maybe I'm too critical to myself, but yes, in a way, it's pretty unique every time.
If you were to look at the other side of the glass, though, then how, when you're producing your tunes in your studio, do you know when they're finished? If you know that at some point you're gonna recreate them live, how do you know that there's a soul in that song where you're like, right, I'm gonna put that out?
Yeah, that's a very good, important question. I'm gonna expand it a little bit. When I started to produce music, I didn't really know much about it, and I was experimenting with different sounds. I was learning how each type of sound generator, each type of sound effects works. And of course, in the very beginning, I was amazed by everything. I put a snare drum and I put a little reverb on it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's mind blowing. I put this bassline synthesizer. I write a couple of notes, and suddenly I have some sort of bassline. I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then when I was advancing with the time, I realized there are certain things I can do to make the sound better, make the sound fuller. And there was a time when, I would program my music. I would lay down a bass line. I would either sample or write down some sort of melody, and it would be pretty much an average kind of melody. And I would try to make it better by layering more melodies, using different types of effects like distortion, compression, and EQ on separate channels to make it more interesting. And later on I would learn how to arrange the music. I would focus a lot on the detail. I would focus a lot on the arrangement. But at some point I realized I'm missing something here, because I would start from a very average idea and I would try to fix it with all this knowledge I gained through the years. And I realized this is not working for me, because all the music I like is actually very basic, and a lot of the tracks I really love, they don't really sound that great, but there is a significant idea in it. And again, as I mentioned before, I've been my school. I've been learning. I've been studying. I've been learning being a painting artist. And my teacher was always saying. So my main mistake when I was doing like a human figure, a head or a body, I would start from the ear or from the nose. In a very big detail, and then I would, continue to the eyes and the head and so on. And what you see is amazing detail, but everything was totally decomposed. The proportions were horrible, so you end up having a horrible picture. Everything was wrong. Yes, you have amazing nose, but the big picture was totally wrong. And I thought, wow, that's very similar. I have the same problem when I make music. I make the best kick drum ever. I have amazing atmospheric background, but there is nothing to sing along at. There is nothing you can remember after listening to that tune. So what I'm doing at the moment is I start something, and if I don't have a remarkable melody, if I don't have a remarkable sound in the first 10, 15, 30 minutes, I just get rid of this and I start again instead of trying to fix the sound, you know.
What I'm hearing from this, and one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and you've sort of led to that, is when you're improvising on the fly and you're just feeling the energy of the crowd, is there any out of music experiences, be it art, as you're saying, food, cuisine, anything that because you're a wizard, man. Like honestly, like there's something about you are, mate. There's something about when you're vibing that you're locked in, and like a lot of what I would say is a lot of people can hide behind the technology, and the technology may enhance them, but you are solid on the melody, and then you can vibe as well. And what you've just touched on there is completely true. The fact that you are focused on the melody, and I think if you do tune in and lock into what you are creating, even though there's all this, that's at its core, the melody and the groove. So what I wanted to ask is, are you completely studio hermit where it's curtains down and I'm locked in for 20 hours, or is there other things that you go around when you travel in the world that inspire your creative fruits to be able to, when you step to the decks, then be able to be in your flow?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, in the very beginning, dance music, house and techno music was a religion. It was something mysterious. It's something I didn't know much about. And when I started to DJ, I wanted to be a teacher. I thought I know a lot, and I thought the crowd is stupid, and I thought I have to educate them. Yeah, because especially in Bulgaria, this music is not so popular, and I thought they don't know, the people don't know nothing, and I have to show them. And sometimes I thought I have to punish them because they don't get it. I'm so great. I play this amazing music, and they totally don't get it. And I'm clearing the floor, but it's not my fault. It's the people's fault.
We've all been there.
And it was just not working, and at some point, gaining some experience on stage, I realized that the people just come in the club. They want to. They have problems. They go to work. They have a lot of problems, and we are some sort of the modern, psychologists. We just help them to get rid of all the negativity they gain through the day. They don't want me to punish them with the music. I think it's amazing. They just want to have a good time. And also, for me now, not only traveling, but getting to know a lot of the artists who started all this. What I realized is that techno and house is not a religion. It's a movement. It's a social movement. And we have a message which is so much bigger than compression and equalization and synthesizers and so on. We fight for freedom. We fight for gender equality. We give a positive message, which is more important than proving how good I am at mixing and so on. So now when I go on stage, of course, once in a while I want to give a lesson, but I know that my main job is to bring the people together.
I don't think there's ever been a more poignant moment for me to shut up and for you to do what you do off the back of that, because, mate, you brought everybody together in Leeds. It's one of the biggest turnouts of the day, Inner City Electronic, the first ever one. Who's excited to see KiNK sort some shit? Remember, this has been an inside the mind of the wizard that is KiNK, but you can see him later today, 12:30 at church. Make sure you do see his full set. But right now, I'm going to leave the man to do what he does best. So Leeds, show him some respect. Rock and roll and just drop the mic and walk.
That sounded nice. So as you noticed, my machines are not working. but I'm not giving up. My friends from Pioneer were so nice to send me this mixer just when it was released. I was fiddling around with it and I was thinking, I just got this when I unpacked it. I haven't got any CDJs or other equipment connected to it, so I was just fiddling around. Didn't expect I'm gonna able to do something just with it, but I saw that there is this noise generator. And I thought, wow, I have these 4 channels. And I can filter that noise. I can put that noise in a different frequency range on each channel. So that's bass. Sounds quite bassy. So yeah, I thought I can somehow use this thing like a kick drum. I thought I'm gonna use this channel to do something like this, like a snare drum. Kick, or bass. Kick, snare. And then hi-hats. Actually, I'm gonna make some like also mid-rangey sound, like a second kind of snare. I'm gonna leave the microphone because it's difficult for me to use only one hand. Alright, so just trying to build an instrument here because nothing is working. And as I said, I mean, a friend of mine said, if you're a musician, you're supposed to be able to play music with a spoon or a stone or whatever. So I'm trying to prove the point right now. I need a spoon, yeah. So I was looking through the effects here, and there is this thing called trance. I had no idea what he was doing, but apparently cutting the sound. And you have these time divisions here. You define how fast you can cut the sound. Bring it a bit faster. Let's see how can I do that. So basically, what I found is very important for me when I'm on stage is I like to use a simple system. I like to have a device which pretty much have one knob, one slider per function, so I don't have to think about it. I just want to go with it. And I guess this mixer, this mixer is really deep, but most of the functions there on top of it, so you can play, you can use it as an instrument, you can be very quick with it. The same with this beautiful drum machine by Roland. So in situations like this, when nothing is working, only this piece of gear survives, I guess I can play for a while with it. I mean, dance music, it's supposed to be simple. You need a kick drum, you need a good bass line, you need a hi-hat. When you go to the club, you want to socialize, you want to relax and enjoy. You want to listen to something which you're familiar with. So you listen to the same kick drum for a while. It's not my thought, it's something I read, something that Jeff Mills said some time ago. He said that it's pretty amazing when you play the same loop over and over again, because people in the club, they just get familiar with it, they feel relaxed. They feel fine to, slowly dance to it because they get to know the groove. And I'm quite comfortable to play just with a drum machine for a while because it's, especially if you use that kind of sounds which are kind of familiar, I guess that's some sort of a tribal signal which calls something, awakes something in you and makes you dance. So let's go for it. Experience with you. It was. Thank you. Probably my first live gig ever. It was 2002 in my hometown, Sofia. I had pretty much the same situation. I had my setup, but nothing was working. There were actually a couple of thousand people waiting for me to play. So me and my friends, we had two computers. The old one with the big deep screens, I guess you remember those. And nothing was working. So I came up with a brilliant idea to play a pre-recorded mix from one of the computers because we had to do something. And I thought I'm just gonna fake it. I had this synthesizer, analog synthesizer keyboard. I thought I'm gonna have my mix going and I'm gonna, fake playing live because I'm there, people are there. I have to do something. And at that time in Bulgaria, we had this show on the national television. It was broadcasted every Saturday. It was called Techno. So they were filming, and it seems I was convincing, faking it. So they came to me, and they started filming more closely. And I thought I have to do something that's more difficult to understand because they would figure out that nothing is coming out of this keyboard. So I came to my computer. At that time I was using this strange software by Native Instruments called Reactor. I had this modular patch open on the screen, so it looked very complicated with all these virtual cables and a lot of knobs. And I started pretending. I started editing the patch, and the guys from the TV show, they were right behind my back, like filming every move I was doing. And after 2 minutes, I realized, wow, that the mouse is not even connected to that computer. And this was broadcasted on television. Of course, they cut it up. It looked amazing. So I guess the bottom line of this is no matter what happens, we have to stay confident. And how bad it can be. I mean, there is always a way to pull it off. it's better to make noise quietly. But it's so difficult for me to hold back because you get the easiest thing is to have a big drums, big snare, big noise, and you get reaction immediately. But I'm trying to force myself to hold back sometimes and try to make noise quietly, which I'm going to try to do right now with this little beautiful piece of gear. Surprisingly, the time passed very fast. It's a pity because I was just starting.
Wait. Not only have you smashed it, but the seamless smoothness nature of you just getting on the mic as well. Make some motherfucking noise for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
100. I was about to ask him, but the man is hyped by you lot so much, and I'm sure you're all the same thinking. In Leeds, we know how to do one thing well, and that's party. My man just asked me, can we have a few more minutes? I'm obviously going to say yeah. So here we go.
Basically, I wanted to ask if there are any questions. I just carried on playing, but as much as I share my experience, I feed from you as well. I learn from you. So please The two ladies.
What's your favorite fruit?
Lemon. Somebody else? Yes, please.
What do you like about Leeds?
I'm having an amazing day. Thank you so much. Thank you. Because of you guys. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. It did. Yeah, Richie Houghton is a big influence of me. I discovered Richie's music in, I think it was 1992. I still love his tracks. That's Speedy J, no? Yeah, I know Speedy J, of course. Not personally, but a big fan of him, yes. Yes, that's right. Please. We're gonna get a question by the telephone. Hopefully. Yes.
You know a good dealer in Leeds?
Good dealer. If you point me to a good dealer for synthesizers, I'm gonna be very happy to find one. I know a good dealer in Berlin. It's called Schneider's Bureau. And people say, get your kids into modular synthesizers. They're not gonna have money for drugs. Oh, that's a good question. So the question for everybody is, the gentleman is asking, I'm inviting random people to play with me, and how I'm preparing for that. Well, for many years before I become an artist, I was just a dancer. I was just going in the club, and I was always curious what the DJs are doing. I was always very close to the DJ booth, looking at their hands and wanting to touch the mixer. I always wanted to do something, and I imagine there are a lot of people like me now. They're curious, so I give them that chance, and I'm not really preparing. I give my machines, and I rely on the intuition. And then something very interesting I want to mention, and nowadays we talk so much about the ladies becoming more active in the dance music industry. I have to say the men, we are in danger a bit, because what I noticed now, giving my devices to the girls, the ladies have so much better intuition. Yes, because it's true. I did, a couple of years ago, I did a boiler room show in Moscow. So I invited one guy from the crowd to use this device. So the whole idea is, you press a button, if nothing is happening, normally you press another button. So this guy was pumping the same button all the time. Normally when I give this to a girl, pretty quickly she understands what's going on. She's trying something else. So yeah, I forgot the question, but that was the answer. Yeah?
Have you heard of DJ Hawk? Have you heard of someone called DJ Hawk?
I haven't, but there is so many, there's so much information nowadays, you know. Back in the days there were a couple of artists and a big crowd. Now it's a lot of artists and very few people to listen to them. So yeah, I didn't hear them.
What's your favourite country that you played in and why?
Every artist have a territory. I feel very strong. I feel very strong in the Netherlands, in the UK, and France. I feel very welcome here because I like different kinds of music. I don't like to play one subgenre of a subgenre. As much as I like house and techno, I like jungle, drum and bass music generally, and in here I can allow myself to do all of them.
Who are your biggest influences?
In terms of production, I guess Autocra, Afex Twin. In terms of if we speak about techno music, it's Jeff Mills, the way he's playing records. And if we speak about selection, like record selection, it's Laurent Garnier. No, that's a very good question. I used to use this modular software platform. It's called Just Call Up Bars, and it's a pretty crazy system to write music on. Till the more recent years, there was no undo function. It was crashing all the time, and it was interesting way to make music. But the best thing I achieved by using this software is to be able to memorize and write music very fast, because this software was crashing all the time. I lost so many tracks. So with this software, I developed a skill to rewrite a track by memory very quickly, because otherwise I'm just losing it. The phone call. No, I buy them. Unfortunately, I don't have the time. So the question is how I create my motion sensitive devices like these here. Unfortunately, I was not able to demonstrate them because my computer went crazy. But this thing, for example, it detects acceleration. So when I hit in different directions, it's generating digital information. In simple words, I use it for drums. But that's for sure. Yeah, this one is by a very small company from the Netherlands. It's called Oh Wow, the company. And yeah, most of the times I buy them. I try to learn how to code, but I'm still on a very basic level.
Your track called Yon Talk, did you write that for Tom York, or did you write the track and name it after him?
So I released an album a couple of months ago, and there's a track called Young Torque in there. All my life I've been into house and techno music, and my inspiration is rather disco than rock music. So I have big respect to Tom York, but I don't really know his music. However, when I make this track, my wife said, "Wow, you have to get Tom York to sing on that track because it's a perfect fit." And I thought, wow, it could be very complicated, but still the work title of the track was Tom York. And then the label said, yeah, just name it Young Thor. That's the story.
Any more questions, or should we have a rollout?
How do you put up with the hectic schedule of like traveling from country to country?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's very exhausting to be on the road all the time, and we all saw what happened with Avicii. That's very sad. I didn't know him personally, but it seems he was a nice guy, which doesn't matter. He was too young to leave us. About 3-4 years ago, I was doing about 150 gigs a year, and for me that was too much. I thought I'm not enjoying it anymore. So I reduced it a lot, and now for the second year, I'm taking 3 months off. I'm still working, I'm still in the studio, and every month I have a free weekend. I'm still working in the studio, but I am sleeping properly. And I think it's very important for anyone who is doing this professionally to find a good balance. Not first of all to survive physically and mentally, but also I think it's very important to enjoy what you do. And if you play 300 shows a year, it's super difficult to actually have a good time on stage. At least for me.
All right, ladies and gents. Not only
Thank you very much.
has he answered my questions, shown you all his kit, he's answered your questions. It's basically the equivalent of watching Barcelona train. That is what you've been let in for today. You can see him late at 12:30 till 2, smashing church. Would you like to do another bit of 5 minutes, or should we wrap it up? It's up to you, sir.
Totally, I'm always prepared.
Here leads. No. It's not meant to, and we are massively overrunning, so you better make it worth it so he remembers what Leeds is about. But before we do, one more time, Make some noise for an absolute gentleman and soul who has shown us his inside world. Make some noise for KiNK! We promised a masterclass. You got a master blessing. Once again, please show your appreciation for KiNK. And you can see him slaying it 12:30 till 2 at church. Mad respect, my brother.